Welcome to Red and Blue. I'm Scott MacFarlane, coming to you from our Washington, D.C. bureau. We thank you for joining us. And we have some breaking news on the Justice Department's ongoing investigation into the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. CBS News can confirm the Department of Justice is now seeking to question former Vice President Mike Pence. For more on this and all today's political news, we bring in my colleagues Weijia Jiang and Fin Gomez. Weijia is CBS News senior White House correspondent and is on Nantucket Island traveling with President Biden. Fin Gomez, our political director, is joining us here on set. Fin, let's start with the breaking news. What more do we know about this?
Yeah, as you said, Scott, CBS News can confirm that the Department of Justice has reached out to speak with former Vice President Mike Pence in the department's ongoing investigation into the events surrounding January 6th and efforts by the former president, President Donald Trump, and his allies to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. The former vice president has received the request, we have learned, and is reviewing it. According to sources familiar with the matter, the Department of Justice has declined to comment to CBS News, and as well as a spokesman for Mike Pence has also declined to comment. And as you mentioned, this comes on the heels of Attorney General Merrick Garland announcing the special counsel, Jack Smith, to oversee this investigation. So they're moving kind of quickly here.
It's a new chapter in what's already an unparalleled investigation in American history, clearly a growing investigation.
Sure.
Oh, it's almost 2 years old now, January 6th. This is not happening in a vacuum, though. If there's interest in Mike Pence to testify or speak to investigators, it's happening as he's preparing his political future and has written the book, released the book, and been somewhat indicative of a future candidate. What's he doing in the meantime to get the political path ahead moving?
Yeah, Scott. So, with an eye on his potential 2024 bid, the former vice president, is starting to assemble a larger team looking at his political operation, which includes a new communications director that's coming in, as well as some other ads he's going to have later in the year. He's also added he's actually solidified three of the main parts of his team, three of the main leaders in his team, including Mark Short, Devin O'Malley, and Chip Saltzman, all veteran campaign operatives. And he's also going to be visiting New Hampshire soon by the end of the year, I've been told.
Yeah, some pretty big steps. He's been intimating a run is ahead, but those are steps in that direction. Let's bring in Weijia now as we look at the other big story of the day today, another mass shooting and another response from the Biden administration to another mass shooting. Weijia, what's the reaction?
Well, President Biden, as you mentioned earlier, Scott, is here for the Thanksgiving holiday, but we know that he spoke on the phone with Governor Youngkin of Virginia today and offered any support and federal assistance that his state might need. We also know that the president released a statement pointing out that his administration was able to sign what he called the most significant gun reform in a generation, but said that is not nearly enough. We must take greater action. Of course, that included expanded background checks. It also put firmer restrictions on who could purchase guns, but the president has long called for a ban on assault weapons, and the president also said that he was grateful to the first responders who mobilized to assist, and again, reiterating his offer of support in any way that he can. But Scott, the president just spoke about this after another shooting in Colorado. He just had another call to ban assault weapons. But you know very well, covering Capitol Hill, that there's only so much he can do with executive action. So I think there has been mounting frustration, especially every time a shooting happens, that, he can't do more, that Congress can't do more, and now Republicans are about to take over the House. So it is a pretty, pessimistic view of whether or not they'll be able to pass any legislation for gun reform.
And here we are, the lame duck Congress and a long holiday weekend in which Congress is going to be completely idle. Does the president have any plans to speak over this long weekend from Massachusetts or otherwise?
So far, it's not on his schedule, but, I was here last year as well. I can tell you that he often speaks off the cuff, as you know. We expect that he will participate in the tree lighting here in Nantucket and downtown, as he has done for so many years. He will probably do a little bit of shopping, and I think that, the president is usually very chatty in a more relaxed setting like this, so he could speak, especially in light of this second major shooting within a week. So even though no formal remarks are planned, I would not be surprised that we do hear from President Biden at some point this long weekend.
In the meantime, the president is featured in the latest campaign ad in Georgia, where the runoff election is just 2 weeks away. Let's take a look at the latest spot ahead of that runoff.
What in the next 2 years do you intend to do differently?
Nothing. I'm not going to change anything in any fundamental way.
Families are struggling because of Biden's inflation, and Washington won't change unless we make them. Georgia's doing better than the rest of the country because we stood up for hardworking families. Herschel Walker will vote for Georgia, not be another rubber stamp for Joe Biden. That's why I'm backing Herschel, and I hope you'll join me in voting for him, too.
Senate Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
So it's a new ad, but it has the echoes of what we heard before the initial election, November 8th. Is there a different course that's being plotted by these candidates, or is it all the same thing again?
Well, a little background on Kemp, though, Scott. Kemp and Walker did not campaign much at all during the main part of the campaign leading up to November 8th. I spoke to a couple of Republican strategists in Georgia who told me that the reason that Kemp is so important right now to do something like this is because Walker needs moderate Republicans. He needs soft partisans or independent voters this time around. Kemp is not on the ballot this time. He was before. So those coattails that he had, he did well in defeating Stacey Abrams, and won in November 8th. So that's what's important here. This is a crucially important election, even though the Senate balance has been decided, because it would help Democrats in navigating legislation through the Hill, as you know, also with committee assignments, as well as just basically giving them a leg up over obstacles like Joe Manchin, if you will, as you know. So I think it's something, and Republicans are spending a lot of money. They're both spending a lot of money there. It's a very important race for both sides. We'll see what happens.
Let me bring one more political question to Weijia in Nantucket. It's the holiday season. We're all thinking about the future and what's next for us. The Biden administration talking at all about his political future, as so many here in Washington wait to hear any word about what he plans ahead?
Well, this is a really important trip, a very important week for President Biden because he spends it with his family. The same thing goes for Christmas, and we do anticipate that he will be having those tough conversations with family members, especially with the First Lady, Dr. Joe Biden, about whether he should run again. Of course, publicly, the White House and the president himself have signaled that that is his every intention, that he certainly plans to run, but, there is no re-elect campaign that has been launched yet. So we're not getting any sort of timeline. We're not really getting a lot of nuggets about where the president is in this thought process. But certainly we know that the midterm results play a big factor in, how well he sees his party and his performance. And so I think that, publicly, again, all signs point to yes. But the next few weeks will be very telling, Scott. And the president himself has said that he will probably make a decision sometime early next year. So we're all waiting along with you.
Weijia Jiang on the road for us this holiday week. Thank you for that. And Fin Gomez, thanks for your help as well.